Brian Wright and the San Antonio Spurs have a golden opportunity right now as new reports out of Philadelphia indicate that backup Frenchman big man Guerschon Yabusele, well, the reports don't paint a bright picture for his future in Philadelphia, and with the Spurs needing a new backup big, this is the perfect chance. But not just that today. I have a stat to show you about Stephon Castle that indicates that he is somehow even better at one specific aspect of his game that we have all been talking about, even better at it than we thought. We got to dive into the report out of Philadelphia on Guerschon, what it means for the Sixers long term, and how it affects the San Antonio Spurs moving into next season, but also Stephon Castle. Cannot wait. Stick around for all that on this episode of Spurs Digest. And we're going to start with Stephon. And this is just cool, right? So Stephon Castle, we know he has been a great slasher this year. That downhill scoring, that fancy footwork near the rim, like that was one of those things that stood out to me, other than his defense, of course, that stood out to me a lot this year. His ability to get downhill, but when he gets there to throw off the timing of the defense. And I feel like, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, look, I felt like a lot of times this season, he wasn't getting that veteran whistle. He wasn't getting the foul calls he should have been getting. And I feel like, man, once Stephon Castle starts getting that veteran's whistle, well, he's really going to up his game. Those point per game averages are going to go way up. He's going to be way more effective on the floor. And then I saw this. Now, credit to Wooden Shift 2682 on the Spurs Reddit. This is where I first saw this. Not sure if it's the original source, but this is where I'm sourcing it from. So please go check it out on the Spurs Reddit page. But I'll blow up this graphic for you here. Foul drawing frequency on isolations. Number one here. Actually, I don't know if this is actually number one or if it's just a comparison between these 6 players, but I think it is. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. On isolations, Stephon Castle's foul drawing frequency was 21%. James Harden and SGA are at 20.2% and 16.1% respectively. And again, I want to remind you, and I don't think I'm alone here in thinking that Stephon Castle should have gotten more foul calls than he did. Now, again, ISO was something he did a bit. It wasn't something he did all the time because, again, we had other primary ball handlers. Of course, when we brought Fox in and, but it was really later in the season when Castle was given more primary ball handling opportunities with Fox out, all this stuff, that he was getting more isolations. It's not like he didn't have any earlier in the season, but when he gets those ISO chances, this dude gets to the foul line better than James Harden, better than Luka Doncic, better than Ja Morant, better than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, better than Jalen Brunson. And just take a second, breathe, absorb this right here, because that to me paints a very, very clear picture of how Stephon Castle can evolve his game to the next level. Because, reminder, not all these guys are elite three-point shooters. That's one of the knocks on Castle's game. The three-point shot looks smooth. He's not super consistent with it yet. Of course, only 28.5% this year. Again, it looks good. Like, I feel confident when he shoots it, but it's just not at that level yet. His corner three is better. It's at 35%, so that's pretty good. But again, when you're 30, your shots are threes, and you're not shooting a great percentage, you want to improve it, but even a guy like Shai, he doesn't take a ton of threes. Stephon Castle won't need to take a ton of threes if he can figure out other assets to his game. If he can keep getting to the line at this rate, continue to do it at, in terms of just ISO foul drawing, if he can just get more ISOs, have a higher volume of isolation scoring, try and get to the rim, this could shoot his point per game average up a lot. To me, this is just an incredible indicator of how Stephon Castle projects to impact this team in the long term as he develops this shot. And look, we have some great mid-range shooters on this team as well. A guy like Devin Vassell can very much be a mentor to Stephon Castle for those pull-up mids. I mean, when Vassell was on, he's on, man. DeJounte Murray, I think of those pull-up mids for him, man. I felt like they never were going to miss, right? We have a lot of great mid-range shooters over the past few years for the Spurs, don't we? Like DeJounte Murray, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan, so many more. But yeah, very, very encouraging thing from Stephon Castle here. Leave me your thoughts on it down below because, I don't know, it just gets me very excited for the future. But to get to the future, we kind of need to add in the now as well. Like, we want to win. We want to win games. We have Victor Wembanyama, that number one generational prospect, and we have been in trade talks for Kevin Durant, for Giannis Antetokounmpo, even someone else. But the Spurs still need to fill some holes on this roster. Yes, another star is probably something we will add on the horizon, probably add it through the draft this year in Dylan Harper. But there's a report out of Philadelphia that I wanted to dive into that really, really is interesting for the San Antonio Spurs, and it has to do with Guerschon Yabusele. Now, we've talked about him on the show a lot. Of course, after his performance with France at the Olympics, we were saying, hey, he's coming back to the NBA. Can we get him? He ended up going with the Philadelphia 76ers, but a recent report from Mark Stein and Jake Fisher Quote, the Sixers expect to operate near or maybe even above the second apron for this upcoming season as they prepare to give Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey another shot to try and contend for a championship after they managed to appear in just 15 games together this season. The Philadelphia 76ers are expected to have a difficult time re-signing Guerschon Yabusele. And that makes sense. You're a second apron team. You only have that MLE, I believe, at that point, and Guerschon will probably command more. Whereas the San Antonio Spurs, well, not Dylan Harper. Well, I mean, hey, I don't mind talking about Dylan Harper. Oh, if you watch the other video, you know how good this graph is. But hey, go watch the other video if you want to see that. I brought up the wrong picture. We look at our payroll. We have ways to move some money out if we do want to make some kind of move for Guerschon Yabusele. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but again, like, we have ways to move on from salary to get some kind of lower expiring deals. There's ways to do it. And when it comes to a backup big for San Antonio, to me, like I've stated before on this channel, and a lot of you have stated as well, look, I'm a big fan of French basketball. I speak French, like a lot of you know. I saw that Maxime Reynaud video, but I love French basketball players. It is what it is, right? And when we go to Guerschon Yabusele, he was so effective in his role last year. Now, not the tallest guy in the world. I was about to say not the biggest, but he is one of the biggest guys, 6'8", and he's a bulky fella. I mean, he can grab rebounds at his size. He can box out 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, and he's really not a bad passer either. And I genuinely think there's not many bigs that fit that backup mold to Victor Wembanyama, even if he doesn't always play center as the backup. He plays the 4, whatever. He works very well in tandem with Wemby. Wemby, who's more skilled, he's going to have that help side block. He's going to make you intimidated every time you get towards the rim for putting up any kind of layup or floater because he's going to block it. Guerschon Yabusele makes you scared because he's so physical, he's so big, he's so bulky, you can't move him. It's a very different, dynamic type of shift if you're going from being guarded by Wemby or having to guard Wemby to now having to guard a guy in Guerschon Yabusele who's not only going to overpower you with his size and strength, he's also able to space the floor and hit threes. Like, he had a decent volume of three-point shooting this year. He shot 50% from the field, 38% from three. Like, we can't just gloss over that. 36% on corner threes. And again, 49% of all his shots this year were from three-point range. That is a lot. It's a high volume. Half his shots were from three. He shot 38% on them. And again, when I'm looking at the Spurs payroll here, and I'm looking at who could be a better backup big, like, he's just I don't want to say better Sandro, but I mean, look, I love Sandro Makelashvili, but Guerschon Yabusele brings other aspects to his game as well, right? He has a high-end motor. He has high-end athleticism. We all remember that dunk on Team USA, right? He is just so phenomenal in terms of a shift from Wemby to him for a backup center. He's a Frenchman, right? You can bring in another one alongside Wemby. To me, if there's ever a world where the San Antonio Spurs can make a reasonable run at Guerschon Yabusele and try to add him, the former Celtics, I believe, first-round pick, try and add him to their backup core of bigs, that just immediately, again, levels this team up a lot. Yes, I know a star would be the biggest thing to level up this team into a true contender, but when you're a team that's extremely difficult to play against because you can play with matchups all game long, you have a bunch of guys with high motor, a bunch of guys who can shift the matchup, change the pace of the game on a minute-to-minute basis, and have just that kind of talent coming off your bench, you just immediately become a much more difficult team to play against, right? If teams have to go out there and the second wave is just exhausting them, being more physical with them while still having that high-end talent, it's like, how do you break past that? Again, if you're adding Dylan Harper in the draft this year, you're also maybe taking Devin Vassell off the bench. There's a world where the starting lineup is like, I don't know, Fox, Castle, Barnes, Sochan, Wemby, right? And then your bench unit has guys like Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, and Guerschon Yabusele. And it's like, how do you overcome that if you're another team? Yeah, you maybe hope for a Spurs bad shooting night, but to me, that is the exact kind of roster we should be looking to build. These kind of pieces, while maybe not as important as that top-end talent, is still extremely important for a team looking to contend. But listen, leave me your thoughts down below. I'm enamored with the idea of Guerschon Yabusele. Is it likely? I don't know, but I would love if the Spurs could take a swing. But let me know your thoughts, because that'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in every single day. Hey, we're so close to 7,500 subscribers, and if you made it this far in the video, just another thank you to you in particular. Yeah, that's you watching this video. From the bottom of our heart here at Spurs Digest, hope you stick around for the future. I've been your host, Josh Gosse, and I'll catch you in the next one.